Hello and welcome to the classic Hollywood movie you should know. I'm Nate Washburn. This week the movie is from 1949, All the King's Men, starring Broderick Crawford, John Ireland, Mercedes McCambridge, written and directed by Robert Rawson. Now, All the King's Men is based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Robert Penn Warren of the same title. It was published in 1946. Now, the story, All the King's Men, follows politician Willie Stark. He is loud, he is brash, he's a populist who identifies with the rural working class people. He's corrupt, he tramples on tradition, he blackmails people, he will do anything to gain more power and stay in power. He puts his name on every project that gets built in his state. He squelches bad press and spreads lies about his rivals, and he is the target of an impeachment. Now, this is based on a true story. The real politician who Willie Stark is based on is, of course, Huey Long from Louisiana, who was a governor and a senator from that great state. Now, what makes this film great is that in the beginning, Willie starts out like for the people. He's actually a good guy, and you follow this transformation. You watch it, and it happens really fast, where he goes from being a good guy to becoming this corrupt, power-hungry politician. And as an audience member, you can't help but be taken in by him. There's one moment in particular where he decides to disregard his prepared remarks. He has this speech that has been written for him that's kind of boring, and he's hungover, and he's in front of this crowd at a fair, and he just decides to, speak off the cuff and go for it. And he's this blustery windbag who just says whatever's on the top of his head, and the people, these rural people, are just so taken in, and it's a magnetic performance. Crawford is so good as Willie Stark. And again, it just goes to show you that old adage is correct. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This movie should be required viewing for anyone getting into politics as sort of a how not to go about doing politics. Like, not a how to, but a how not to. Don't be like Willie Stark. He is not a good person to emulate. Now, All the King's Men was released in November of 1949, and it was a big hit, both critically and commercially. The critics loved it, audiences really went for it. It grossed over $2 million at the box office. And the following year, when the Academy Award nominations came out, All the King's Men got 7 nominations. It won 3 Oscars. It won Best Actor for Broderick Crawford. It won Best Supporting Actress for Mercedes McCambridge, who plays the character of Sadie. Now, what's important about that, this was Mercedes McCambridge's first film role. She is one of the very few, there's a very small pool of actors who not only get nominated for an Oscar in their first film role, but win an Oscar in their first film role. Mercedes McCambridge did that for All the King's Men. And the last Oscar that it won was Best Picture. This was the Best Picture of the year, 1949. Now, a little trivia for you. This movie was remade in 2006, starring Sean Penn and Kate Winslet, Anthony Hopkins. The original from 1949 has a 95% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The 2006 remake has an 11% fresh. So watch the original. Don't go for the 2006 remake. And a little trivia about Mercedes McCambridge. She's shown up in a couple of films that I've done on this classic Hollywood movie you should know series, including last week's Johnny Guitar, where she co-starred with Joan Crawford. But she also shows up in the movie The Exorcist. She is the voice of the demon when Linda Blair's character is possessed. There are some great video clips on YouTube where Mercedes McCambridge is talking about what she did and how she created the voice of the demon in The Exorcist. Highly recommend looking those up. So in this historic week, where we are peacefully transferring power to President Joe Biden, give a watch to 1949's All the King's Men. It is a great political drama that just shows you what not to do as a politician. I love it. It's a great movie. Highly recommend it. It's this week's classic Hollywood movie you should know. I'm Nate Washburn. Keep watching.